to have you here, mate. Good to see you again. Good to see you smashing more water, which can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I'm in the midst, or just the very beginning of clean eating and no excuses, fuck excuses campaign. I'm calling it from big to rig, actually. So I'm going to go from a big unit to a rig of a unit, and I'm training 7:30 every morning and 7:30 every night with my trainer.
Wow.
6 days a week.
Yeah.
And eating extremely clean, no alcohol, no sugar, meal plan. And I tell you what, mate, it started on Monday. What's today? Thursday. So I'm about 8 sessions in.
Yeah.
No, today's Friday. So I'm
Friday,
8 sessions in, maybe, and 7 or 8, and I feel fantastic. Actually feel alive again.
How was the first 24 hours, though? That's the critical part, yeah?
You know, what's interesting is I thought I would really, really struggle, especially coming straight off the couch and, you know, being about 115 kilos. I thought I was going to struggle, but I prepared myself for a few weeks before I went, this is it. This is the one. I'm making a serious change in life.
So mentally ready.
And this is the key, right? You can't out-train a bad diet. Yep. And, you know, you can't, I guess this one I was so mentally prepared. The mindset is so strong that I haven't wanted to eat shit food. I haven't not wanted to get out of bed, even though my body's fucking, I'm in agony. You know, everything hurts. I didn't realize I had muscles in my cheeks. So I thought it was just fat. But, mate, everything hurts, but I feel fantastic, which is good.
So it's a good pain to be going through.
Good pain.
So, mate, tell us a bit about how you grew your business, because I did see on LinkedIn the other day, you guys have achieved some massive milestones. Yeah.
We started sort of late 2012, and then licensing and compliance and stuff 2013. So it's seven odd years now, and nearly 8. And we started with a key objective and goal. And my wife Rebecca's got a personal training background, not that you could tell from my rig these days, but we started with the view of that the banks were doing it wrong, and you know it's always been done that way is one of the most dangerous statements in the world. We both really, really, truly believe that you've got to innovate, and we got the award this year as the most innovative finance company in Australia. Yep. And I was doing things the way I'd done them for sort of 13 odd years in finance before we met, and she challenged me on everything. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, why has it always been done that way? And the more I ripped it apart, the more I realized I had to eat humble pie, and I was bloody wrong. Yeah. So that tasted pretty salty. So we sort of did some R&D, and we went off social media. So I guess, how did you grow your business? Point one is we went off social media for about 6 to 8 months. We shut ourselves off from the world. Yeah. We actually relocated away from friends and family and everything, and got ourselves a nice apartment. And we locked ourselves away. And back then as well, I went from 138 down to 88 kilos. Wow. And it was get up, exercise your body, exercise your mind, and build the business. Yeah. And then of an evening, exercise your mind, exercise your body. There was no socials. There was no glued to your phone. We only checked email twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon. We were so structured with our ideal day plan, a week plan, a month planner, that I guess here we are today, one of the most successful financial companies in Australia. But I think going off socials was key, and identifying a problem in an industry that hadn't yet been solved properly. Yeah. There's a lot of shit out there. Yeah. So I think, you know, and detaching from let's celebrate the weekend to say Gary V says you're doing it wrong. It wasn't like, hey, it's Friday, let's go get smashed. Yeah. It was like, oh, cool. I don't know what day it is, because I'm so engrossed in the research and design of how to solve these problems. Yeah. It doesn't matter what day it is to me. It's just part of the process.
So it's keeping that focus, because I suppose the staying off socials is a massive one, because it's such a bloody distraction. And even to, you know, not just being a distraction, it's, you know, a lot of people will get hung up on what they see on socials, or what they consider or perceive people to be doing, or money that are, you know, these people are making, all these lifestyles that you know, people are living, which most of the time is bullshit.
That's right.
It doesn't have, you know, that doesn't show any of the hard work that they're doing for it. And all it's doing is zapping your time every time you're spending on it. You're just wasting an hour and a half scrolling through, seeing all this bullshit.
Mate, nobody puts their failures on Instagram or FaceSpace, do they? It's only the fucking success stories, right?
And that's
They don't talk about the bad days and the ventures that went wrong and legal issues and staff issues and family. They don't talk about any of that shit.
No,
I'd love to
it's all
see
the
a mum
glory.
just put up a post of just screaming children, or a
Because it's
business person.
relatable, yeah? Because people
Yeah,
are
or
like,
a
that's a
business
fucking real
person.
situation.
Yeah, I want to see a business person like in the fetal position in their office, rocking backwards and forwards, going, "Fuck, what have I done?" Like,
Because, and that's the thing, we've all been there, and we've all been through those parts where, you know, and I remember that there was parts where I'd be driving to work years and years and years ago, and just replaying over and over that Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, those rules that he has on life, and playing it over and over and over, and trying to convince myself that everything's going to be all right. But the other part of my mind was just thinking, "Fucking hell, what is wrong?" You just, you know, and it's hard to get past that point.
That's so true. Like, you keep telling yourself everything will be all right, and then another thing here, it's a left hook and an uppercut, and it's the next thing. Fucking hell! It's like, I think, to summarize it, you know, successful business people, you could almost take the year 2020 that's been around the world and say that's the business journey. 2020 is like building your own business and being an entrepreneur, but people only demonstrate the wins. It's like a gambler. You don't hear about all the money they've bet and gambled and lost. You only hear about the wins. And I love what you guys are doing. You know, I think it's so important that we all start being congruent and sharing about the losses and the struggles. And people need to know that we've all gone through the same thing or similar things, and that it's going to be okay. And when I love this saying, say, everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end.
I like that.
And
I really, really like that. That's good.
I've actually got that, and it's just an anonymous quote that I can't remember where I picked it up, but it's in a frame behind my desk in Piermont and my Bella Vista, my two Sydney offices. Might actually have to, that reminds me, I might put it up in here in Queensland. But I just, like, I've had days when my head was in my hands and just absolute disaster. You know, things are exploding and imploding. And I look up at that and I think, fuck, shit's not okay. So it can't be anywhere near the end.
That's right.
We'll be okay in the end.
And that's a really, really good point, because if shit's not okay and you're not at the end, keep pushing through it, because at some point it comes good, and you'll be surprised when you get to that point. You're like, fuck, that was hard work, but
the worst. And it's like, I try to explain to people too, I've been through some crazy shit. You know, I had an online stalker for over a year and a half, and they disappear and they start, and, you know, all this stuff and all this fake posts and slander. And it's like, it's weird. It's like, usually just before this absolute abundance of happiness and fulfillment and success, or whatever it is that, you know, just fills you up, you always seem, I've experienced, you always seem to have the lowest low, the worst, the most, oh my God, like your world is crumbling. Life is over as you know it. Yet just around the corner, you have this abundance of happiness, success, and fulfillment. And that's what I keep saying to people. If it's not okay, it's nowhere near the end, because you wouldn't even be in the journey. So just hang on, like, push through. Like,
and it kind of sums up, like what you're saying before, it really sums up 2020, doesn't it? Like, it's not okay. It's not okay yet, but keep pushing and it will get okay. It will get amazing. It will get magnificent. And 2020 this year has been, you know, it's the most bizarre year for, I'm sure, all of us who've never lived through anything like this. But it's given, you know, what we found, it's given us a lot of really good time to bunker down, reassess, re-strategize, and then look at what are we doing right now and how can we do that better to make it bulletproof.
I think people are realigning with what's really truly important to them. They're getting more time with family. They're realizing that, work pays the bills, but, you know, I think people are taking stock of life and what's important, because, you know, I only had a meeting with somebody today over lunch whose mother's just passed away. And, you know, and it's really, really sad. And you're talking to him and he's in a really good space. Fortunately, he's taken time and he's processed, but you don't know, one day you can wake up and it could be terrible, but life goes on, and human beings are extremely versatile. And the old saying, you have nothing to fear except fear itself. I think it's a Warren Buffett line. Like, we get consumed. It's this self-fulfilling prophecy and anxiety and depression. It's not that it's not real. We've all experienced it. If you say you haven't, then I think you're full of shit. It's about how we deal with it and handle it, and knowing that it's okay to talk about it, especially in business. We're not bulletproof.
No, and it's not, I don't think that it is talked about a lot in business. And, you know, I think that even life in general, there's not a lot of people that talk about it, and there's a hell of a lot of people that go through it. And when you mention to someone, I've mentioned to people before, look, I've gone through some really serious anxiety in my life, and they're like, what do you mean? Like, you're successful and you're doing all these businesses and this and that. I said, but you'd be surprised how many people have gone through this, because everyone goes through shit in their lives. It's just how you deal with it. And that leads me to a great question is, you've obviously been through some anxiety or depression. Where were you when you're at those places, and how did you come through it?
Yeah, I mean, like I was talking about before, I testified in an ASIC case, and people were struck off for life and years and all sorts of stuff, and then instantaneously in that appeal, I had 300-400 fake posts about me appear on the internet over 10 months, but yet there was nothing on the internet bad about me for 18 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
But when you get another client or family or for another person call you and go, have you seen this? All this, the hot spits in the throat and the pit of your stomach. And the stomach's churning, and you're like, oh my gosh, and this is my good name. And, and you just want to fucking strangle somebody. But I guess I went through that for 10 months and still going through it now with these people. And the silly thing is, we know who it is and we can press a button and they go to jail. We're in the Supreme Court with a suppression order. But it's like, I actually have learnt to embrace it through some mentors, and I really invested heavily in Tony Robbins over the last couple of years, and a lot of personal development growth. I can say that I was a really shit human being a few years ago, but I think looking in the mirror or sharing that now and saying I wasn't a good employer, I wasn't a good partner, I wasn't a good friend, or I wasn't the best version of me, like starting the health and fitness journey seriously again now. And you go to a pretty deep, dark place, as you probably know, and you don't want to talk about it and you don't want to share it. It's taboo. And we talk about it, and we talk about the, are you okay, and all this stuff, and talk, but unfortunately, a lot of successful and people that are not yet successful business people are too embarrassed and scared to talk about it. And I mean, the things that it does to your body, how you feel. I mean, Tony Robbins was a life changer for me. How do you feel when you're stressed and anxious, and all of his course I've done? And what does that do to your body over a lengthened or even a short period of time? And I know for me, I've been fortunate enough to invest in those personal skills and development and growth to now take it on board and go, well, if someone wants to throw bricks at me, that's fine. I'll catch them and build an empire with free bricks. Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to feel sorry for you in the process, because I can lie straight in bed at night, and I sleep well, Yeah. So I think it's a pretty dark place. And it's really important for people, if they're experiencing it now and they're watching us, on this podcast, to really seek out the skills and the professional help to be able to learn how to process it internally and externally, to change their state and to move forward and go, you know what, it's not happening to me, it's happening for me.
Correct. And even like you were saying before, it was an interesting one. It touched on with, identifying what is that emotion that's making you feel like that.
That's
right. When it does come up, and just stop and take heed of it and think, okay, what's this emotion? Why is it triggering me? And a massive part of it for me was letting go of it all. And I spoke with a guy the other day about it, and just saying that we try to control so much.
Yeah.
And that is what really does your head in.
We can't control what somebody else does.
Mm.
So at the end of the day, you either actually embrace it and start to enjoy it, or embrace it, or turn it into a game, or whatever it is. But
because it creates growth, like if you're embracing it and you're building more muscles, they're the emotional muscles that you need to be able to push past this stuff.
It's like going to the gym. I'm like, throw some more bricks. I'll just keep stacking them. Gun show.
Yeah, exactly.
It's. But again, if you spoke to me 2 years ago, there's no way I could have this conversation with that confidence. It would be, woe is me, pity party. I'm in a deep, dark place, and it was it was tough, It really, it affected me for a long enough period of time in my life that those people may get some satisfaction, but those people need to deal with that for the rest of their lives.
Correct.
They're going to have to feel that. And that's like, so for me, it's like, you know what, whatever anyone, and this is common in business, people throw stones, right? Your competitors, your your friends and family, your co-workers, your employees, other business partners can throw stones. But at the end of the day, that's their own insecurities or their own failures.
Yeah.
If they were, you never meet a hater doing better than you, for example, right? It's not that people just wake up and go, oh, I feel stressed and depressed because I'm having a bad day or business isn't good. We can work through that. But it's really hard when other people bring others down.
Yeah.
And I love that the Be Awesome model you guys have and spending time in your business with you guys. I love the culture that you guys have built. It's fucking phenomenal. It's an amazing, vibrant culture of, you know, everybody to be their best. Yeah. And that's so rare in a workspace these days. I absolutely love it. Credit to you guys. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. And that, you know, that's something that we work really, really hard on. And it's not, it's constant work that everybody in the whole team puts in, and creating this really vibrant energy, a really communicative space, you know, especially going through a time like now where, you know, this is our first week where no one's in the office. We're all separated. And, you know, I've called around a few people today, and we've got some Zoom drinks set up tonight, but keeping that communication and keeping everyone and, you know, not giving anyone any limitations. If someone wants to do something or they want to change roles, we're all for it. If you think that you're better suited over here, or you've got dreams and aspirations to go here, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go for it, because we want people to be open and thriving, not just coming to work and doing a job, punch in and punch out, because, you know, that's not living.
It's an interesting way you just said that, mate. I've talked so much about this issue. So you said that's not thriving, right? I talk about that so much this year. For me, it's like, do people just want to survive 2020 or thrive? Do people just want to survive in life or thrive? So I have this massive like survive or thrive thing going on in my world and sphere and bubble at the moment, because it's an interesting word to use, thrive. Like, everybody deserves to thrive at something or some things. And I really love that you use that word for your teammate, because it's so like, to want other people to thrive and prosper and grow is selfless. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's the ultimate act.
And it creates, you know, that's what we find, that when everyone is in that zone and bringing that energy, it's super hard to pull that energy down or to draw that energy down.
You can't.
Exactly. You can't, because you can walk around the corner to the next desk, and then there's someone there just on. We've got one particular guy there, which I think you met, Luke, and he's this big, gigantic bloke. And every day, like, he has his off moments, as we all do. They're off moments. But for the most part, he just comes in and he's got these massive arms and you can't get away from it. He just wraps you up. And even if you are having a shit moment, he's like one of my go-to guys. I'll be like, Luke, come on, lay one on me, mate. Just wrap me up. You know, I call him the bear, because it's like just getting wrapped up by a bear. But that energy that you know, guys like that bring, and there's, you know, all the other people in the office, they're always got a smile. They're always, you know, stop, have a chat. What's going on here? What's going on there? And a really good high energy. And it's not necessarily work that we will talk about. I mean, there's a lot of that goes on, but it's also too just about, you know, what's going on in their life, what's really pumping them up. And it's so important to have that as you know, forget about just in the workplace, but as human beings, that's, you know, that's Absolutely. Exactly, that's what we thrive on.
Absolutely. We do, you know, we in some cases you spend more time, or most cases you spend more time interacting with your coworkers than you do with your family. You might only see your family for a couple of hours a night before you go to bed. Yeah. And an hour or two in the morning before you go to work. You spend more time in the corporate or workplace environment typically than you do with your own family. Yeah. So it's, you know, we're in Infinity, we call it the Infinity financial family. There's no clients and staff and advisors. It's a family group. Like we embrace it within the Infinity family. And it's so important that we're all on even level playing field, and we're all family, and we all help each other together. And it's not just about, you know, we're in finance. It's not just about money. It's about, you know, people have passed away, or people are getting new jobs or lost jobs or having you know, it's about life.
Yeah. It's, you know, contributing. And I remember when you and Lou came down and you guys are saying that there's one super important thing that you guys do. I think you and Lou take it in turns. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but you'll make sure that you're doing the coffee walk.
The coffee walk. Yeah. Which at the moment,
give us a bit about that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that's Lou. Whether you call it life counselling or career counselling, but it's
all. Yeah, you get everything in.
Yeah, it's predominantly Lou. As you've seen, he's probably got one of the best natures out of any human being you've ever met. Yeah, he could tell you that your lifelong kitten died and everything was going to be okay. You'd cry, but you think it's going to be okay.
Before you tell the story, give us a bit of a picture of what what Lou is, who he is, and what his character is, because he's
look, he's I
little
call
Italian
him
guy.
yeah, I call him the Godfather because he's a I wouldn't say elderly because he'll watch this and fucking punch me, but he's a middle-aged, refined Italian gentleman, and he's just a man of the world. He's had so many jobs and so many businesses, and he openly shares not all was successful. There were some, but he and I learned from each other every single day because he's been a very successful businessman. He's had businesses that went under. Yet he's still here standing in his 60s, working his backside off because he loves it. But he loves people. Yeah. And that's the, he loves, we call it the coffee walk, but we're on the Jones Bay Wharf in Sydney in our Pyrmont office, and we're at one end, and the coffee shop, there's one at the other end. There's one 2 doors up, but we go all the way to the other end. And just to grab hey, Dan, how you going, mate? Yeah, want to come for a coffee? And to just walk down the pier chatting about life, about work, anything, right? Random family, to order a coffee and chat while you and walk back. But, sometimes by the end of the day, you're on your 8th coffee and it's a bit, a bit crazy.
And then to switch to decaf.
Then you sit there overnight and just think about everyone's world and what's going on for everybody. But I think it's really important.
That's that interaction.
Really, really important. I mean, we had a team meeting the other day and I ended it with everyone. I said, now, how can I help you? How can I solve a problem in your world right now? And everyone's face went, huh? I haven't heard that for. I was like, well, how can I be of service to you? What have you got going on that you're just under the pump and I could solve it, but you don't want to ask? Yeah. Let me help you.
Because that's a massive point too, isn't it? Because I don't know whether people get afraid to ask or they just think that it's going to fall on deaf ears, but people just don't ask. And I say to people all the time, if you've got anything on your mind, let me know. I don't care if you think it's stupid or what it is, but just let's talk about it.
I think they are, mate. I think that they're either too scared or they know that that's their job, but we all get under the pump, all of us. And it's, it's so important in the workspace. It's like, well, how can I take some of your pain and make it some of mine? Yeah, I've got a full diary too, but how can I better serve you to better serve me? Or how can I better serve you to better serve the customer? Because that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And that's that family thing, If you've seen your kids or your partner struggling, lugging the washing basket downstairs or outside, you'd go and help them. That's that family culture that's so important.
And I think if you're in an environment or a workplace or whatever it is, and you are asking for someone genuinely for help, and you got a negative response, I think it's time to quit that fucking job.
Absolutely.
Or leave that relationship or move on to to something that's going to serve you, because, everyone in life needs help. I don't give a shit who you are. At some point, everyone needs help. Everyone needs a hand. Everyone needs to talk about something, because even, the best of the best of the best have coaches. The best of the best of the best do meditation. They do yoga. They go to the gym. They do something to pull them out of what they're doing and refocus.
That's right.
And that's, I suppose that goes back to, what you were saying with your gym work. Is that a really big form of focus for you at the moment? Is that how you keep focused? How do you stay on top of that?
Yeah. And at the moment, mate, it's all mindset. If you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you can't. Yeah. And I'm actually documenting this, and not necessarily to commercialize it and turn it into a business, but I'm documenting it to share with our community and our family, which is thousands of people up, in Australia, that I can show them and say, hey, this was me 2-3 months ago. This is me now. And if you believe you can't, you can't. And if you believe you can, you can. You're right both times.
Yeah.
If you get your mind, and you have to want it, that's the key. Like, my wife can't tell me that. Well, she can tell me I'm overweight and she'd like me to lose weight, but that doesn't mean shit. Yeah. I have to want it. I have to get to the point where I went to tie my shoelaces up and couldn't breathe because I'm too fucking fat. I had to experience like, we're going to take a breath to go back to do the other loop. Yeah. Like shit's getting real.
Yes.
So, you have to want anything in life, and you have to want it badly enough to go after it. And one of my business mentors gave me a line that he's allowed me to steal and coin. And it's, if you only focus on your outcomes, all your obstacles will give way. I don't focus on competition. I don't focus on peripheral drama, people throwing stones. I focus on my mission. Yep. I know what my mission is with laser focus, which is to free people from what the major banks in Australia are doing to them, and give them an education they didn't get in school or uni. And I'm just so focused on it that nothing phases me anymore. It did when I first started getting stones thrown, and now I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, because there's always going to be stuff that happens in between that, isn't there? Well,
the way I view it now, mate, is that those people or persons, they're actually wasting their personal time to throw a stone at me.
Yeah.
Well, if you were more successful than me, you wouldn't have the time to throw stones at me. I wouldn't even be in your sphere. I wouldn't exist in your brain.
Yeah, correct. So where's your focus? And that's the thing.
I take it as a bit of respect. I'm like, fuck, you got the time to worry about me? Hey, it gets me, it actually makes me walk a bit taller and work a bit harder. They pump me up.
So, yeah, absolutely.
And Tom Billier says this. I don't know if you know Tom Billier, Exeter Quest, and Lisa, and they're really successful. He's like, I have a list of haters, and I've had it for a long, long time. And I regularly look at it because those haters motivate me.
They push you to get to the next level, don't they? They push you to prove them wrong.
No, when I'm in that gym and I'm struggling at the moment to do my second session tonight, and I'm struggling, I've got go-to in my head, go-to haters, go-to people that want to see me fail.
Yeah.
And that just absolutely unequivocally does not let me fail.
Well, that's the thing, Oliver. I was listening to some stuff the other day, and Will Smith was talking about that and talking about failure. And he said, failure is a part of success. He said, without it, you would not succeed. And he said, why do you go to the gym? And the answer straight away was, well, you go to the gym to lift weights. And why do you go to lift weights? Could you go there to do it until failure? Yeah. So you lift weights until you fail. So the whole, the ethos behind going to the gym is doing it till you fail.
And once you fail, that's when the growth begins.
100%. So it's full circle. So you've got to understand that you're going to fail, but it's not actually a failure. There's so much lesson inside that, just taking it away from it.
And I love talking to people too. And I say, people go, oh, what about all the mistakes you've made along the way? I said, I haven't actually made any unless I did it twice.
Yeah.
So, well, in the last 2 or 3 years, I've learned that everything is a lesson. And now I can teach you, not my mistakes, learn from my lessons that have allowed me to learn and grow and mature. And I don't consider them a mistake now. It's a lesson. It's a life lesson. I mean, our parents always want to look out. They say, oh, don't do that, Graeme. Don't. They know, right? Because they've made that mistake. Well, I don't use the word mistake at all anymore.
I like that. That's good. Yeah.
It's a lesson. Like in our company, in our family, mistake is banned. Hey guys, if something goes wrong and there's a lesson from it, we need to get together and have a lesson huddle.
Yes.
Stop what you're doing. Let's all get together. What have we learned from what's just occurred? Yeah. What are our takeaways from that? And how do we ensure we improve on that? And it's not a mistake, because if we can all grow from it and 16 other people in our financial community hear that program, ooh, I've had that before. That's a lesson.
That's a really good way to look at it, actually, because Mark and I have often said, we've made that many mistakes, every fucking mistake under the sun we've made. And so we changed it and said, well, that's our university degree. We never went to university. And Mark left school at 15. I left it. I barely passed high school. Yeah. And we didn't do any formal education after that. And so those lessons, not the mistakes now, the lessons is that's our uni degree. That's our education.
That's your MBA.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm much the same, mate, as a housing commission kid from absolutely nothing. It's their life lessons. And, growing up, like, oh, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. No, that's where the growth occurs. That's the failure. It's a lesson. Now, if you go back and do it again, you're a fucking idiot.
if it's the same mistake. Yeah.
Therein lies the mistake. But if you can learn from it and grow and even share that lesson with somebody, it becomes a lesson.
Yeah.
It's only, for me now, I've learned it's only a mistake if I go and do it again. To me, that's just the definition of stupidity or insanity, doing the same thing over and over again.
That's the definition of insanity for sure.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, well, doing it twice is insane and it's a mistake or it's insane. But doing it once is growth. That's my degree. That's my life journey. That's my path. Yeah. And, the things I've gone through in the last 5-10 years, I would never be the human being I am now to be of service to others without being able to experience any of that ever.
Yeah. And that's I think that Tony Robbins said it as well, that, when someone's trying to go through something, And he says to them, okay, well, what have you tried? And I said, oh, I've done this, this, and this. And they said, how many times have you tried that? I've tried it 100 times. I said, okay, right, tell me. Show me how many times. And they say, well, maybe 10 times. And it's like, all right, well, tell me those 10 times. Okay, maybe 5 times. And over the 5 times, it's the same thing over and over and over.
And over again.
It's no difference. So it's, you know, it's probably goes right back to what you were first saying at the start, when you really looked at all your business and you looked at it from such a different angle and doing something completely different to everyone else is doing it. That's where the magic is in life and business.
It is. And you know what's crazy about it? Like, that was 2012, late last third of 2012, when we sat down and locked ourselves away from the world.
Yeah.
And and I remember, never forget, into the 30th of June 13, we were like, right, we got this. We've figured it out. You know, it was 6 to 9 months of R&D, research and design. And yet here we are in 2020 in the 8th month, and we've just been given the most innovative financial services company in Australia at the Australian Broking Awards.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, I'm going to get rich in 2 years. Oh, I'm going to build a startup in 12 months. Like, it takes 9 months to have a baby, guys. If you're successful straight away, could take 2 years of trying. Like, and people get really jealous and things like that. It's like, well, I've been doing this, my industry, it's all I've ever done for 20 years almost now. And it took 7 to 8 years to be the most innovative. Now, we thought we were the most innovative back then, but not only did we design and research, that magic you're talking about, that came out of refining and learning and learning and failing and fixing and learning and growing.
Continuously innovating and learning.
And not staying in that deep, dark, anxious, depressed space of, oh, that didn't work. Shit, throw in the towel. Oh, that's a problem. Like, oh, we've hit a roadblock here. Like, don't ever give up.
And that's what we say, you know, if it's a coin, we'll flip it 20 different ways to try and find another angle, another surface, another edge, until we found, you know, that real magic point of it. Because there is, if you just look at it on both sides and go, well, fuck, it's a coin, you're going to miss it. There is something there.
3 sides to a coin.
Yeah. Yep.
There's the edge.
Yep, exactly. And that's what everyone's looking for, is the edge.
Correct.
You know, so it's important to really twist everything around and look at it from every single angle. And sometimes you get so bogged down in doing that, you need an external person to come in and say, well, have you thought about this? And then you go, fuck, bang, no, I never thought about that. And that's where the magic comes from. It's not always us that are doing it. Like we said, we've got a team of amazing people, and sometimes they'll just come and go, what about that? Do you think?
That's why coaching's just blowing up, and why culture's so important. And, you know, employee share plans and equity, you know, gone are the days of where people go and get a job out of school and they get work there till they retire and get a gold watch. Like, people are all part of something bigger now. And
it's huge,
you know, and it's so important for business owners, especially, and employee, to have that mindset of, if you treat the business as if it's your own, even as an employee, eventually the business owner will reward you. If you don't feel like that's going to occur, then you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. You know, that's, you know, the amazing part about, you know, especially business in Australia. I think we're probably one of the luckiest countries in the world, that if you are just getting into the workforce, you can spend 2 years at one company, go to the next company for 2 years, go to the next company. You can literally, you've got the pick of the crop if you want to really put in your hard work, and you can go anywhere and get as much experience as you want. So we're lucky in that sense that if you've got a shit boss or it's a shit workplace, move on.
Yep.
There's so much opportunity here for people.
So much, mate. You're right. And it's part of the apprenticeship.
Yeah,
right? Like,
it is.
I keep wondering when someone's going to build, you know, I wanted to build it because I'm pretty entrepreneur. It's like the school of business. Like, no one's built the entrepreneurship apprenticeship. And I get people coming to my sphere, and, you know, last year we got the best broker in Australia award, and that was amazing. But again, that was like 18 years in the industry. And people, I want to be nominated for that next year, hopefully. I'm like, you've been here for 6 months. Yeah. You're new to the industry, and you want to achieve something that took me 18 years in 8 months. You know, I think there's a big key, mate. We talked about depression, anxiety, and business earlier. There's a really big key thing there is, social media is great, but it's also bloody dangerous, that people live in a fake bubble. And They want what people have taken 15, 20, 30 years to build and earn rightfully.
No.
People want that in 6 minutes or 6 days. Like,
yeah, because everything is so instant for everything else, for every part of our lives.
yeah,
You grab your phone and just bang this, bang that, bang, 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 bang. Well, why can't I have all this shit right now? I don't have to work that hard for it, do I?
If
It
I
should
was
just
a
come.
carpenter, I'd have to do a 4-year apprenticeship. If I was a GP or a doctor, I got to do 6 years of university. And so it does concern me. So people don't be so hard on yourself in business. Yes, you're struggling. Yes, your team's struggling sometimes. But remember, it takes you 4 years to get signed off on a trade. It takes you 6 years of study to become a doctor, or 4 years to do an undergrad as a lawyer and a postgrad of a couple of years, or an MBA. Like, I think people have to go back and realize that business is an education as well, like you said, and it's an education that involves a lot of lessons, i.e. failure/mistakes.
You think people get too caught up in looking at the things that they're not achieving, as opposed to, because I know that, Mark and I for a long time would just be, smashing out and achieving this bang, yeah, bang, next, bang, bang, bang. But we wouldn't actually celebrate those wins. We wouldn't sit back and look at all the achievements. And people just rip themselves apart, right? Because they're like, well, they look at all the things that they haven't done yet. Well, I haven't got this, and I haven't got $1 million in the bank, and I haven't got this car, and I haven't got this. So then you torture, you're just surrounded by all these things that you don't have. So you feel like shit.
You just hit a hot button. Rebecca and I were just talking to my wife, we're talking about this the other week. We're like, when was the last time we celebrated a win?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, really?
You're too busy just trying to crush it, yeah?
Well, no, you know what happens? You hit the milestone, the money in the bank, or the investment, or the asset, or the results from the team, or, for us, we're driven by the client's results.
Yeah.
And you hit those milestones that we just cleared over $1 billion, $1.044 billion in client assets under management in 12 months of this new venture with our business partner.
Congratulations.
And that's unheard of. And we hit that, but yet we haven't taken stock to celebrate, because there's 38,000 other things that we're trying to hit.
Yeah.
And we've just sort of sat down with ourselves and one of our mentors and gone, hang on a minute, we have to celebrate the wins no matter how small they are. That's a real hot button for us at the moment. You don't want to get complacent, but it's important that your community, your culture, your family, your team, you have to celebrate the wins no matter how big or small they are.
Yeah, 100% I agree. And that's the thing that Mark and I have really taken stock of, and, celebrating that with the team as well. And so how like with mentors along the way, and Mark and I are massive on this, and massive on always discussing things with people that have been in business for longer than us, and, guys like you that we can spitball ideas with. How important has that been in your life personally and career-wise?
But absolutely instrumental. I mean, I put some dedications in my book to some people that took me through my banking career. And without those mentors, I never would have learned the things I've learned. I've had some bad mentors along the way as well. But again,
you need them.
You need. Look, I'm really appreciative to some of them, because I know what not to do.
Yeah.
But I've got some really strong mentors that I still touch base with, that I'll be forever grateful for. I'll never forget my first opportunity in banking when I was just in a junior role, and my manager wanted to counsel me out because she was a drunk. She used to go to the club with a boyfriend every day for 2 hours, and come back pissed and nap at the desk out the back. And she wanted to counsel me out of the business because I had no training. Yeah. We had a relief manager come out when she was on leave, who absolutely invested in me and loved me and just clicked with me. And when she went on holidays, I got the opportunity to be her relief trainee manager, and absolutely crushed it. And if it wasn't for her, name's Annette, and I still talk to Annette now. She's retired and got grandkids and everything. But if it wasn't for people like her that believed in me and invested in me when they didn't need to, and I wouldn't, and it's good. I get to ring her every year or so, and we go, hey, you want to go to the club for lunch and have a counter meal and a drink? And it's just great to see her and how proud she is of me. She tears up, and I get teary thinking about it. Like, nobody needs to do that for people, but without us doing that for our team and someone doing, and without passing the baton.
Yeah, it's giving back, isn't it? It's like all that information that you've learned along the way and all those mentors that you've had, and reinvesting that. And that's, one thing that we're massive on as well. And I'm spending a bit of time with a couple of our cadets and doing some mentoring with them.
Mm.
And it's amazing to see, because this, for us, that's our future generation. And these are the guys that are going to take the business over when we're not there anymore. But giving them that knowledge, because where else are they going to get it from? They're not just going to get it sitting behind a desk and working their asses off.
The only way they're going to get it, mate, is to actually make that lesson happen themselves, that mistake, that failure.
Yeah, correct.
And if you can teach them where you've gone off course before and had that failure, they can grow at an exponential rate. And this is why we're seeing business ideas and unicorn companies and innovative things that we've never seen and heard of. Like, so, we're so versatile. You look at out of the GFC, Uber, like the businesses that came out of the GFC, because humans are like, shit, what are we going to do here? Like, shit's pretty bad. What do we do? And we're so versatile and such resilient creatures, So like,
especially in Australia too, like we've got that real competitive fight mentality. Like, well, no, the chips aren't down. It's not okay yet, so let's keep punching through.
It's interesting. We have that great Aussie battler. Like, we don't like to give up. But in the same token, I go to the States a bit for business and New Zealand and Singapore, around the world. And Australia has a really disgusting tall poppy syndrome. Like, makes me sick. Oh, see the car he got, see the bit, drug dealer. Or, didn't do that legit. Like, we have this disgusting tall poppy syndrome that if you're successful, you're dodgy.
Yeah, get cut in the knees.
Or it's too good to be true. Well, it's not. Just get off your fucking ass and have a crack. And not only have a crack, like you were telling me, the 100 times I tried to lose weight. Well, it's actually 3, and you did the same thing 3 times. Well, failed the first time. That's the definition of insanity. So it's like, if you want it, you'll get it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as, my grandfather's passed away now, and he used to say to me, if you work hard enough and study hard enough and do something for long enough, you'll be in a fortunate, blessed position to be able to pay people to do the things that you're not competent at, or one day that you don't even like doing. And you'll be able to teach other people.
That's a really good point too with the tall poppy syndrome, is that, nothing feels better than supporting someone who is working their ass off, even if they're, at bottom level, or if they're going through stuff in life. But if you support them through that, that's human nature, right? We're all here to, spread and share as much love as we can with each other, whatever way that is. And by supporting each other and uplifting each other, you're uplifting yourself, you're giving yourself all this amazing energy, and you're giving the people that are on that really hard journey a massive lift, instead of watching them trying to fucking scurry up a hill and rocks falling all around them.
There's 3 types of people, right? There's people that don't give a bob either way. They're just floating through life. I call them rubber duckies, just bobbling down the stream. They don't need to hurt anyone. They don't need to help anyone.
And that's cool.
That's cool. They're just comfortable in their own being, go to work, come home, sport, school, kids, partner. There's the people that are ultra driven and successful and can't stop and want to give back and gratitude, like ourselves, right? And then there's the people that just want to pull everyone down and woe is me and misery loves company and actually attack other people. Well, I mean, just take a look at yourself in the mirror for all of them. Who do you actually want to be? It's the old story. People say, okay, you're on your deathbed right now. What do you want to be recognized and remembered for? Out of those 3 classifications or stereotypes, I want to be someone of value or service, etc. I don't want to be normal. I believe we're all built for something special. And I certainly don't want to be the person that's bringing other people down. So I think you're right, mate. Like, there's no better buzz. It's like a drug, like teaching someone something and watching them execute on it and be proud of themselves and grow.
People realize that they can, I've had it many a times where I've been, working with someone and just you see that you give them just a small piece of information, but something clicks to them, and then they realize, holy shit, I can actually do anything that I put my mind to. I can achieve and be anyone who I want to be.
And I got one of my guys in my team now that he's probably 4 years with us, maybe 4 years. And he was on the cusp of the chopping block, maybe, a year ago. And one of our other team members was like, no, you don't understand. He's so close. He's so close. He's now my number one finance broker in Australia. He's smashing it. Yep. And it's almost like the Bruce Lee thing, don't fear the man with the kicks and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you do it over and over and over. And all of a sudden, it's subconscious competence, breathing, walking, driving, changing. It just occurs. It's just fluid. And some people take longer than others. But and I realized, and we'll give him a crack. And now then I started investing in him. And that growth, he's just all over it now. And that's phenomenal. Now, most people are scared of that because they want their staff to be good, but not great in case they leave. Now, I want them all to want to leave me.
Yeah, 100%.
I want them all to go and want to go out into the world. Now, I also want, hopefully, that they're amazingly phenomenal, successful. But in the same token, if they fail and they come back and eat humble pie, that's okay too. I don't mind, as long as they're a good human being.
Yeah, absolutely. Joshy, what's that Bruce Lee? While we're talking, can you just have a look at what that Bruce Lee saying is and just let us know?
I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. But mate, all right, we'll probably wrap it up there. But what's one takeout thing for people listening to get them through obviously a hard time at the moment? What would be one thing to give everyone to get them through this?
Yeah, look, I would say, mate, honestly, and it's only just around the corner, UPW, Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within.
The virtual, I just looked at it today and I saw it's $395 for
cheap
4 days.
I mean, that's a lot of money to some people, but to others, it's cheap as chips. That is the most significant investment I think somebody can make in themselves for 2020, besides their health and fitness.
Yeah.
It changed my life. I've watched it change multiple people in the Infinity family's lives.
Yep.
And I think investing in yourself is not a school education. The memorization of answers is not education. Okay.
Yep.
Like Kiyosaki spend a lot of time with it. That's not education. But growing and learning about yourself and how to control your feelings and emotions and who you are and who you want to be. But I would strongly suggest to people to have 4 days off work, or if you're working remotely and you can get away with it for a couple of $100, UPW, Unleash the Power Within Tony Robbins next month. It will be, and I think it's 4 days, but 2 of it's a weekend.
That's a virtual one, yeah?
Yeah, virtual from home. Plug the laptop into the TV, crank the speakers up, and just throw your hands in the air like you just don't care. I mean, I've had someone I got tickets for before I invested in them. And they were really apologetic and left and said, I'm not into this and I'm not into that. And when they text me, I was standing there with my arms crossed like, oh, what's it, like, I know all this sort of shit.
But you just got to give it, because I went to one, I think 10 years ago, and at the start of it, Tony says, just let your inner child, just go back to when you were a kid and just let that kid out for the weekend and just get into it. Just don't have any, don't have any thoughts about it.
Don't have any preconceptions, no thoughts. No, you just need to just open yourself to, could I just take one nugget of gold today? Just one.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And as soon as you're open to that, you'll end up taking 6 or 7 or 80.
Absolutely. Because what you're doing is you're letting go of all the bullshit that you've had in your life. You're letting go of all these things and all these stigmas that are attached to this person who you are, which most people have got an issue with, a lot of those things.
That's right.
Let go, you release it. And
we're not taught to communicate effectively. It's not like you don't do comms at school. How do you talk to your partner? How do you talk to your friend? Like they're all lessons. They're not mistakes, but
it's life.
Success leaves clues. I get a lot of people reach out to me for catch ups and that. And likewise, I do the same with other mentors, and success leaves clues. And if you aspire to be like somebody or you have a vision of being like someone, you need to get within their sphere. You need to intern for them. You need to offer to do an unpaid trial. Like you need to get around the people you aspire to be like. Your network is your net worth. And that's emotionally, physically, financially. It's not just financially and career. Your sphere, your environment is who you will become.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
every aspect.
And creating that, right, writing that journey, journaling that, like we were saying before, with who do you want to be?
Absolutely.
And really understanding that, write that down. And then, like Tony Robbins said, he wasn't born this Tony Robbins multi-billionaire guy that helping people all over the world. He had to create him.
He created him.
You have to create that person you want to be and not be afraid to change.
Absolutely. And anybody can create any life that they desire. Anybody, right? We've all heard rags to riches stories and vice versa. Anyone. You just have to be very clear on what it is you want.
Yeah.
And you have to go at it and never, ever, ever give up.
Yeah. That's a very good parting word. I'm going to leave it right there because that's inspirational, man. Thanks very much for your time. Thanks for coming on next time.